Ela falou que ainda tá bom, né? Hum. It's bullshit. Yo, okay, I got you. I know. Wow. Throwing threes, throwing threes. Why the fuck would it get cut and then fall away, man? Shit. Cut. Don't fucking reach. These niggas here, man.
Has been a staunch advocate of the players, but also collaborative with Adam Silver. I'm interested to see how this goes, as clearly it's a hugely forward-pressing issue. And this article today by Arash Markazi of the LA Times might just be part of the discussion at the Board of Governors meetings, because listen to this. Doc Rivers basically giving a full play-by-play to our friend Arash on how the Clippers landed Kawhi and PG-13. Here's Doc describing their pitch meeting with Kawhi. He says that Leonard said, quote, "I want to play for you," and Doc says he pointed at me. Then he said, "Mr. Ballmer, I love the things you do and what you stand for, but your team is not good enough, and if you don't change your team, I'm not coming," which is amazing.
Awesome.
Doc then goes on to say, "We actually had a list of guys," which was a mistake. You can just hear Doc's words, right, when you hear his voice, but we got lucky. We shouldn't have had a list, because then he got to choose who he wanted to play with, and the assumption was that we could go out and get them. We didn't know if we could go get anybody. We just showed him guys that we thought would match him, and when he saw Paul George's name, he said, "I want to play with him." We showed him everyone else, and he didn't want to hear it. He just stayed on Paul George. So after the meeting, we sat down and said, "We got to go get Paul George. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we have to do it." He continued and said, "We did know that Oklahoma City wanted to break their team up."
There it is.
So that helped.
There it is.
All right, a lot to digest there, Dave, but let's start with that sneaky little revelation about OKC, which, by the way, you look at these Board of Governors meetings and they're like, "Oh, we got to tamp down on player-to-player contact." He's saying, we already knew that Oklahoma City wanted to break their team up anyway.
Right, and
With a list of guys.
that's a huge revelation if it's true. Because all of the reporting that we've had is that Sam Presti and company was committed to running back
one more first-round exit. But they were like, we just want one more first-round exit before we know that this is. And no one's going. And this is the thing. We have all of this stuff going on where we're talking about. No one wants to blame Dame Lillard. No one wants to beat Dame Lillard. Like, if you don't hit this, one of the most amazing shots in NBA history, and you wave bye.
We had Damian Lillard on the jump during Summer League, and I did say, I hope you understand that on your list of accomplishments, breaking up Oklahoma City Thunder is now firmly on your Wikipedia page, and he demurred as you'd expect.
But I think that's the key. That's the keyest thing. He was like, the only reason why the Clippers believed that they could go get Paul George and why he was on that list is because there's insider stuff. They know that Oklahoma City is open to blowing up their team. You have two of the top 10 players in the league, and you can't get out of the first round, and it doesn't look that pretty. They lost to a short-handed Portland Trailblazer team, and so in that space they're like, okay, we need to change it up, and that's one of those things. If we can go get them, and we can give Oklahoma City assets that they can start rebuilding their franchise, then yeah, we can go get Paul George. But they're not just like, hey, I want to play with LeBron James. Okay, let's call the Lakers. No, he put out a list. Or he said a player that they believe that they could go get because he was on the market and it was proven so.
So interesting. Doc also talked about how he convinced Clippers owner Steve Ballmer to unload all those picks. He said Steve was nervous about the picks. I said, Steve, you keep saying 6 picks for Paul George is insane, but you're saying it wrong. It's not 6 for Paul, it's 6 for Paul and Kawhi. So 3 for each. I would do that. And look, that's what we kept saying once the trade went down, right? Do you think there's any chance, Richard, that Ballmer does end up regretting that deal?
No, I think there's zero chance, especially with the way that what happened with the Warriors. You know, you had the injury to Klay Thompson, you have Kevin Durant going to the Eastern Conference. So now there is a level playing field across the NBA, and everyone has. This is what the Clippers wanted. They didn't necessarily want the glitz and the glamour. They wanted two hardworking. That's always been their message. We don't want to be LA. We don't want to be the Lakers. We want to be more of a kind of a Detroit Pistons, Pittsburgh Steelers type franchise. We're the working man's team. We're the show up every day and bring that message to our fans. And so these two players fit exactly what they're looking to do. So yeah, 3 picks for two of the top 7 players, possibly a top 3 player in Kawhi, Finals MVP. I'm not going to cuss, but you could give up a lot more than that.
I mean, it's the first time in league history a team has acquired a Finals MVP in the summer immediately that he just won it for another franchise. So that's unprecedented. So it would take an unprecedented haul. And you stockpile assets in order to improve your team when it has a championship window. That's what it's all about. Cleveland did it. David Griffin traded 2 first-round picks for Timofey Mozgov. On its face, that sounds like a lot. But also involved in those deals, he got Iman Shumpert, he got J.R. Smith. He moved the team in the right direction that it needed to go in. And guess what? They traded away another first-round pick in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Right. But guess what? You do it because this is the time you strike. And I think the only regret would be not to.
Right. I mean, and look, different players mean different things to different teams at different times, which is a lot of the word different, but it's actually true, right? So the Lakers gave up a lot for Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis was worth more to the Lakers than he was to almost any other team because the Lakers have an aging LeBron James who, if they don't take advantage of that right now in his best remaining years, that investment they've already made in LeBron won't pay off as much. To the Clippers, who are trying to even up their presence in Los Angeles, and yes, the chance to get Kawhi Leonard, Paul George meant more to them than it would have been to most of the other teams around the league. I thought the other interesting, there's so much good stuff in Arash's article. I suggest you go find it on the LA Times website. One of the other interesting things that Doc is detailing how the deal was off at noon, on again at 3, off again at 4, back on at 5, back off again. He walks into dinner, and they're sort of like, no, get to a place with better cell reception, like all of that stuff. And then he said that the fear of Kawhi going to the Lakers was the most present thing to everyone in the Clippers, and everything they had worked for and built over these past few years. If the Lakers had gotten Kawhi Leonard with AD and LeBron James, he told Steve Ballmer, you might as well move the team back to Seattle if that happened.
And look at what happened in New York, right? There was nothing but Knick talk. Nothing but Knick talk all year for the #1 pick. We're going to get KD, we're going to get Kyrie. And the worst case scenario, literally the worst case scenario, is for them to not get the #1 pick, and for the two of the biggest free agents to go to Brooklyn, right? And it's the same thing. The worst case scenario for the Clippers was to lose out on those free agents and end up having Kawhi in with the Lakers. So it happens all across. Like, that worst case scenario is real. It happened in New York. It didn't happen in LA.
You almost said New Jersey instead
I
of
was
Brooklyn.
so close to saying New Jersey.
It's a long time, right? It was across the chest for a long time. Coming up next, can Giannis win a ring without becoming a consistent outside shot taker and shot maker? He won an MVP without it, but we will discuss right here on The Jump. Giannis has something to say about it. Listen up and stay tuned.
This is a make or miss league.
It's a make or miss league.
Make? Miss. It's a make or miss league.
It's a make or miss league.
Make birthdays! Richard Jefferson is 82. No. It's CJ McCollum and Trae Young's birthday today, so we wanted to have an excuse to show a great video and asked RJ which of these two had the best handle.
Oh, come on now. Like, I really like CJ a lot. But Trae Young, and again, he's only 21 years old, right? No, CJ has overachieved. I think Trae Young is just at the beginning of what he can do.
And he's got the yo-yo.
Right.
Yo-yo.
Absolutely. Happy birthday to both of them. CJ McCollum.
Fucking Phil Marcus Aldridge, man.
I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. There you go. Miss Hughes. White took to Instagram to show off his Kobe shoe collection. Dave, you were covering the Lakers back when Kobe and Dwight were not the kind of teammates you'd want them to be. Are you surprised by this?
I am. Now, I will say the Kobe AD is a great performance sneaker.
Oh my God.
And it's a good-looking shoe as well. But I am surprised. I don't quite get what stage.
Performance sneaker? Is he like competing in the
At this
javelin?
point in time, after covering basketball, does anything surprise you about Dwight? There's your answer.
There you
I got
go.
to cover it.
Yeah, sure.
Big David Blaine, Cassius Stanley has broken Zion's vertical leap record at Duke. Here's Stanley throwing down a little alley-oop from Scottie Pippen Jr. at Sierra Canyon, where it looks like he's floating up there. Have you ever seen bounce like this, Richard?
I'm about to see it.
Just levitation, Holmes.
Gosh, like he just. Oh, yeah, that's very,
By the way,
very
this
good.
is a child in a high school game.
Yeah, but these guys aren't children anymore.
Well,
They gotta
Add more runs on
yeah,
On the
Yeah, on the-
I still need to see more.
I mean, that was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
Missed. Bounce. Check out Creamy Bingham. Struggling.
Oh, wow.
Struggling on through the legs jam. Dave, you were on TV talking the other day about how you can't dunk.
No, I cannot.
Does Bingham inspire
This is my
you?
favorite.
Just get out there.
When they
It's
show
all
this
about
video
play.
and they're like Kyle Lowry in the postseason.
Kyle Lowry
He's a
has a
champion.
ring.
That's why it's a joke, everyone.
Kyle Lowry has a ring that,
Yes,
by
he
the way,
does.
he was, I was going to say, if it was not for him, he would not have a ring. There you go. This one is my favorite Bingham video, though. This one, that's the best one.
The jab.
Right?
That's amazing.
Making it work with what he has.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Let me
need
see
to
the
see
lob.
the
Let's see the
dunk.
leg.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I need to see it. You also saw him attempting a little three-point range there.
Yeah.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not making that comparison. I'm making a segue and saying that he has shot 26% from three-point range last season. Giannis won the league MVP despite that, but in a video released on Buck's Twitter yesterday, Giannis talked about not needing a three-point shot, but wanting one anyway. Take a listen.
I can still win the championship with not shooting three, but I want to shoot three. And then I shot the three a little bit better this year. As the season went on, I was getting better. Shooting the three is going to make it a lot easier for my game and a lot easier for my team. And so I got to add that element to my game.
All right, so do you think that he can win a title without shooting threes, but that he should, as he says, I want to be able to?
Yes, I do. Especially now that there's a little more parity in this league. But I think for Giannis, it's about your development of your game. And it's okay. Like, he doesn't have to shoot threes, but understand that he won't shoot contested threes. So you look at contested versus uncontested. So if he's pulling out from three, you see a lot of his threes aren't even contested. So if he can shoot 35% uncontested threes, then that's going to open it up for his entire team. The one thing that I would say would be more important is to have him post up more. Because posting up with the shooters that he has around him, if he's able to either go one-on-one from 10 feet out or force a double team, is going to open up shots for everyone around him. So there's a lot of things he can add to his game.
Yeah, he can definitely win without shooting threes. Look to two dominant wing players in the past. Magic Johnson, I understand the game was different back then, but Magic Johnson didn't really win with shooting threes. Even Wayne Wade in 2006 Finals went 3 for 11 from 3 in the entire series. They win it. And beyond that, I mean, he's going to get better at shooting threes. His work ethic, you've seen the way his body has transformed in the time that he's been in the league. That's the visual evidence that you know that he puts in the time. I think of a guy like Jason Kidd, who late in his career won his title with the Mavericks, being a very effective three-point shooter, and they used to call him Ace-in Kid because he had no jack. And so I think Giannis will be, that will be a part of his game. Maybe not this year, but it will become a part of his game.
I mean, look, we saw LeBron James get beaten in the 2011 finals because Pop forced him to shoot and then turn around and change that part of his game as he developed through later years. So anybody can build that. When did you really get consistent with your jump shot? At what point?
No, it was a progression. It was like, I shot more threes my first year than I did my second. I was like, screw this, I'm just going to drive. But ultimately, my third year, I shot 35% from three. And I went from averaging like 15 to like 18 a game. And then after that, it became a part of my career. When I got to San Antonio in my first year, my 1 year in Milwaukee, I was 39 to around 40. So there's a progression. If you put in the work every day, and it might take years, it might take 3 to 5 years. And he's been lifting, he's been doing so much, so his body's also been changing. But once your body kind of slows down the changing process, and this is who you are, then your skill level can increase. It's hard to add 20 pounds of muscle and increase an accurate jump shot. So I think now that he kind of knows how he wants his body to look and feel, now the skill level can start to increase from a skill standpoint.
And you're right, you don't have to be like JJ Redick, right?
No.
You just have to be, the league average for threes right now is 36%. He was 24% last year. You just want to kind of get up there. So as you say, you can be a threat. And look, I think the Bucks have done a great job with the structure of that team around him. They've been smart. They've gotten shooters around him. It's not the best sharpshooting team in NBA history. They do need him to be able to shoot that shot. So I love the fact that he wants to do it, even though, as you point out, other players have done it without needing to. But it would be better. Coming up, we're going to talk about the Rockets because GM Daryl Morey says their internal calculations estimate that adding Russell Westbrook increased their odds to win the title by 30%. Is that BS or real talk? And can Daryl show his math? Stay tuned.
Geico presents Yikes, another voicemail from your roommate.
Sup, roomie? Hey, a pipe burst in the basement. It's completely flooded. Anyway, I called for someone to fix it, but in the meantime, I was thinking we could finally have that indoor pool party we've always wanted. I got some cool swan floating things already going. Could you pick up some chips on your way home later?
The Geico Insurance Agency could help keep your personal property protected. Like if your roommate isn't the brightest pool float in the flooded basement. Visit geico.com to see how easy it is to switch and save on renters insurance.
Get excited, America! Oh, yes, it's time for BS or Real Talk. We've got Richard Jefferson and Dave McMenamin who will let us know who is keeping it 100. First up, we're going to talk about Kobe Bryant because he joined former NBA colleagues. That sounds so formal and nice, right? Darius Miles, Hugh Richardson on their Knuckleheads podcast, which, by the way, is a very fun listen, just dropped today via the Players Tribune. Miles asked Kobe about his life without Shaq after he was traded in the summer of 2004. Take a listen to his response.
Here's the thing. When I was playing, I would get chastised a lot for being selfish, saying we just got to fit into a team. It's about winning championships. Yeah. Okay, well, I get it. I'm doing it. Right? Won 3 straight. Okay, I got it. Mm-hmm. But I also knew that when my career is over, they're going to chastise me for the same thing. Yeah. Saying, oh, well, you're only great because you played with Shaq. I'm like, whoa, hold up. You can't have it both ways, bro. Like, So it was important for me and Shaq to go separate ways. Yeah. Because I didn't want people to use that again. They still do. But it was important that I win championships without him. And you get a glimpse of what I could have done individually had I not played with him. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was a big driving factor. It was like, hold on, don't get it up now. Like, yeah, I'm doing this thing, I'm playing with Shaq. And it's like, take Mike, put him with Will. It's Shaq was force of nature. Yeah. Right? So you got to kind of take his backseat. Yeah, I take the backseat.
First of all, shout out to Kobe for proper use of the word chastised twice. Very well done. He says it's important to his legacy to win titles without Shaq. Is that BS or real talk, guys? Look at that.
100%. And like he says he still gets criticized, but it's true. And even he said he had to take a backseat to Shaq. Shaq was the best player on those 3 championship teams. Now, Kobe might have been the second best player in the world, but he was. That's why Shaq has 3 Finals MVP. That's why we had nothing we could do against Shaq when I played against them in the NBA Finals. And so he needed to part ways so he could prove to himself and everybody else, because that's what Kobe's about. But ultimately, it is true. He only has 2 Finals MVPs, and Shaq has 3 because Shaq was the most dominant force on those teams.
Yeah, he was the most dominant, perhaps, player ever in that stretch of run. Now, you take away the hypothetical by the fact that he played with Pau Gasol and won the championship. You could say that when they won their three-peat, if he had, let's say, Dikembe instead of Shaq, the Lakers still would have won 3 championships, and he would have been considered the best player on those teams. But it didn't happen that way. So he needed to create the destiny that he wanted for himself, and that was winning the 2 without Shaq.
And we can't just talk about like Kobe. Like Kobe just took a random team. He had one of the biggest teams of all time in Andrew Bynum. He had Lamar Odom at the end, like 1 through 5, and they had Pau Gasol. So they had a great team. So Kobe Bryant was the man, and he deserved to get all the accolades that come with being the man. But ultimately, we know that Shaq was the main driving force of those first 3 championships.
Does the lens of these comments sort of put the Kevin Durant move to Brooklyn, sort of just sharpen that a little bit too? And there are people saying, how could he walk away from a team that had been to these many straight finals, that he had won 2 rings with, where he had 2 Finals MVPs? Why would you ever walk away with that? Do Kobe's comments kind of lend some credence to what KD did?
Yeah, well, I've taken criticism personally, saying these exact same things that Kobe is saying right now. Like, hey, look, like Kobe was great. One of the great all time, but you can't say 5 championships to LeBron's 3. LeBron's never been the second best player on his team ever in his career, and it's really not even close. D Wade was probably the best teammate he's probably had. So I think Kevin Durant making that move is like, yo, I need to go prove. Now again, Kevin Durant is not showing up there with nothing. He's got Kyrie, he's got DeAndre, he's got a bunch of other players, but there's a different level of winning that championship there. Same with LeBron in Cleveland than it would what he did in Golden State.
When you guys had the scouting report in the finals, how much was it Shaq and how much was it?
It was, okay guys, strap it on. Anything we can do against Shaq, just figure it out. And our only hope was that Kobe kind of went a little selfish Kobe and just shot the ball too much, kind of like what he did in the Detroit series, where he just did a little too much. And that was our only hope, is that Kobe tried to fight for that finals MVP and did too much and didn't throw the ball to Shaq. That didn't really work out, but that was our only hope, is that Kobe kind of sabotaged it trying to win the MVP, and it wasn't the case.
Do you think selfish Kobe is what you said? Do you think Nike made like a selfish Kobe puppet in addition to the other Kobe puppet thing?
Well, there's a lot. Like even Kobe said that he was trying to fit in a team, and then he was trying to consider it selfish. But that was our only hope. If they gave the ball to Shaq 25 times, 30 times, there was no hope. There was no hope for us.
All right, let's move on to the Rockets. Daryl Morey telling Bleacher Report that according to Rockets' internal calculations, acquiring Russell Westbrook increased their chances of winning a title by 30%. We have not been able to get Daryl to show his math, so I have to ask, and sorry Daryl, but is this BS or real talk, gentlemen? Go. Ooh.
What? Yeah, the right way. Real talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
It went from 0 to 30. It went from
Wow.
0%. Okay, my bad. It went from 1%. It went from 1% to 31%. I think that's true. They have a chance. I believe that they have a chance. Now, again, we talk about this parity in the league and how important it is. They had 0 chance with the way their team was constructed, in my opinion.
Wow. I mean, this is 100% BS for me. That's my internal calculation. It's not 100%, 100%. Because how do you prove this? How do you get this number? I have a problem with the number. Is it due to a win above replacement? Is Russell Westbrook a 30% better player than Chris Paul?
My statement of the 100% is based off they had 0 chance, and now there's a 30% chance that they might win. So it's not like based off his numbers. It's just like.
Yeah, but is that because Russell Westbrook's there instead of Chris Paul, or is that changed because Kevin Durant left Golden State? Is that 0%
Yes, that's why. Because of the parity. It's like you take Kevin Durant off,
not because
and then you take.
adding Westbrook.
Does
The
it
question
Kevin
is
Durant button on the
adding
calculator too?
But adding Westbrook and then subtraction other places gives you that percentage. And with Klay Thompson being out, and there's a lot of different things that are going on. The Lakers are going to be bringing together a new group. You have the Clippers have a new group. So it went from 0 to 30. I'm with them.
Look, everyone knows how much respect I have for Daryl and how much I love the fact that they leaned into all these numbers and calculations. I would just say that this is impossible to calculate right now, only because it kind of goes back to, hey, different players mean different things to different teams. We don't know which Russell Westbrook is showing up this season. We don't know which James Harden is showing up this season. They have been talking this summer about their friendship, and maybe sometimes when you play with one of your guys and you're at a certain stage in your career and this hasn't worked and that hasn't worked and this pairing hasn't worked, you are more willing to share the ball in a different way, and they're both going to play a little bit differently right now. I can't calculate that. I don't know that. And so until I see how they play together,
But Daryl Morey can calculate it.
Right, so here's what James Harden said. He said, Russ isn't just like one of my old teammates that I was in Oklahoma City with. Russ has been my brother since I was 10. Our communication is different. The way we talk to each other is different. These guys are both from Southern California, right? I mean, they've known each other for a long time. And I just think that you can't sit there and do the math, and you can sit there and say, well, it should work because of that reason and that quote. Or you could say, you know what, I don't see these two usage rates meshing in any way, shape, or form, and it's going to be a disaster. We don't know.
They're both going to have to change their games. Russell's going to have to shoot less threes, which is kind of crazy. And I think James is going to have to play off the ball a little bit more to allow Russell to go full speed and do all
more.
But that's the sacrifice. If Russell can shoot less threes and James can learn how to play off the, and it's crazy because James is one of the greats of all time on the ball.
Yes.
But that's how you sacrifice a little bit of yourself to boost your teammate, because if he can handle the ball, and obviously we know he can shoot and do the ISO, that's where we have to find that part out.
Yeah, the Rockets want to see if they have a selfish puppet. We don't know. We don't know how that works out. 2018, #1 overall pick. I love the puppets. I love the puppets campaign from Nike. DeAndre Ayton averaging 16 points, 10 rebounds per game in his rookie season. He started 70 games at center. But Suns GM James Jones told The Outlet that he sees Ayton playing before this season. Here's the quote. This year we have, from Frank Kaminsky, Dario Saric, Cheick Diallo, we can play DeAndre at power forward if we need to, with Aaron Baines as our center. We have a lot of depth at that position. Is this BS or real talk, guys? Oh, All right, Dave, go ahead.
I mean, I love James Jones.
Yes.
Very smart, budding front office executive. But the problem here is not DeAndre Ayton, it's the rest of the competition. There'll be so many stretch fours you're going to face. And unless he is ready to really force other teams out of what they're doing because he is so polished on the block, playing alongside a new player in Aaron Baines at center, then he will be the one that has to adjust to what the other team's doing. And all of a sudden you're exposing him guarding a stretch four out on the perimeter. I don't think he's suited for that at this stage of his career. And so I think you keep him where he's comfortable, playing the five.
Well, I think he has the mobility to guard some of these stretch fours because not every stretch four is Kevin Love. There's some stretch fours that are just, out there just to space the floor. So if you wanted to do that and then go big, I think you can do that. I don't think that that's what's best for their team. He said that we can play him at the four, not that we will play him at the four, and that's why I'm saying it's a little BS. They do have a lot of depth at that position, but I think the Suns, until they learn that he is the player they need to be focused on, not Devin Booker, right? I think what is kind of like the Shaq Kobe thing, until DeAndre Ayton becomes David Robinson or someone in that mold, that's when they will take a leap. Not when him shooting step back and free throw jumpers. That's more important to the growth of the Phoenix Suns than it is. Oh, look at Arizona Bears now. What's up, young fella? But I think that's more important than the growth of Devin Booker over the course of the next few years.
I mean, look, I will say about Aaron Baines, I have always felt it is wildly underrated what he does to your team defense. If you look at the numbers in Boston, it shouldn't be this way if you look at his individual numbers, but when he is on the floor, the team defense improves so much. And they felt it, by the way, when he got hurt last year. I'm curious to see what he does to the team defense when he is in Phoenix. And DeAndre Ayton, a guy who has been criticized, remember Joel Embiid came out and was very critical of how DeAndre plays defensively. Maybe he will be the beneficiary of that as well. And also have to remember, Ayton's young.
Yes.
So, we gotta give these guys, they're not fully formed yet.
Yeah.
So we have to give them a chance to get a little bit better every year. We'll see if it happens. All right, two-time MVP Steve Nash said the young Mavs duo of Luka and Kristaps Porzingis are, quote, incredible difference makers. Should Mavs fans expect the second coming of Nash and Dirk in Dallas? We'll do a little number comparison. First, though, here's what the Jump recommends for today. Check out our 2019-2020 NBA bonus watch on ESPN+. Find out how much money some of your favorite stars could earn by making an All-NBA team this upcoming season. And after the break, we will discuss Bradley Beal's chances of cashing out next offseason because it's a lot of money. All right, welcome back to The Jump. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks, whose expectations have been raised this season with the addition of Kristaps Porzingis. In fact, Mavs legend Steve Nash thinks the combo of Porzingis and Luka could make so much noise that he told Mavs.com, quote, I think it's a super exciting time to be a Mavericks fan and to play and work for the Mavericks. You've got two players that are incredible difference makers. If they can form a bond and chemistry and an understanding, they both fit into the modern game extremely well. It's going to be exciting to watch them develop together. Richard, would you call Steve Nash a Mavs legend or a Suns legend? And do you see them as the second coming, Luka and KP, of Nash and Dirk?
They definitely looked apart, right? So that's one. Two, my thing
the
is
hair.
this.
Come on, look at the hair. Can you please discuss the hair for a minute? Can we pause here?
Stop.
Look at this hair.
You know what
I mean, Mo Bamba would be jealous of the hair on these two guys.
Nobody should be jealous of no one's hair. My thing is this: they both are so talented, and they do so many things. Like you look at the Steve Nash and the Dirk Nowitzki like pick and roll was one that even Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin couldn't guard, right? Because they were just so good, and I think they have potential. I think Steve Nash is definitely a Dallas legend. I think the trade that got him out there and brought in Jason Terry was a part of winning that championship because they moved off of Steve Nash, and Steve Nash went on to do great things. But I think they have the building blocks for the next 10 years. If these guys stay healthy, then it's all about the pieces that are put around them.
I mean, we are talking about the number 6 all-time leading scorer in Dirk Nowitzki and a back-to-back MVP in Steve Nash. So it's such a lofty comparison. I understand it is the back-to-back MVP making the comparison, but I'm not ready to go there like Steve is. But one thing I will say is that I've spoken to someone who's trained with Kristaps Porzingis. He's trained other NBA stars, MVPs, All-Stars, and he said he is truly special. I believe